Oh, good. That's pretty good on him.
Pretty strong.
Steve Gorman Sports.
Evenings at 6 on 95, the Sports Fox.
Radio.
Talking Smack, Jim Rome on WBES, Charleston, 95, the Sports Fox.
The opinions expressed on the Brennan Lowe Show do not represent the values of Bristol Broadcasting Company. WBS Charleston, West Virginia, a Bristol Broadcasting Company station.
Right, let's turn it up. Woo. Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
Mike Patton.
Well, he was 15. He's a good player.
The officials were struggling mightily. I mean, they can't count to three.
I've been following Cam Newton ever since he played for the Ohio State Buckeyes, my number one college football team.
We got our kicked today.
No basket! No basket! No basket! Hoyas win! Hoyas win! Hoyas win!
You got Jared Ford in the middle of the field talking everybody. Then when somebody say something to him, he don't even supposed to be on the field. Are you ready?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the biggest show in sports.
This isn't Fart Talk Radio or anything.
Brennan Lowe Show 95, the Sports Fox. You're out of work, Charleston. Time to talk some sports. Excited to be here with you today. I got a special guest in studio for today because even though I got most of my picks right this weekend in college football, I got one wrong, and it was a big one because all I did was brag on Oklahoma, and, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but I should have did that because they lost bad at home, and I got a Buckeye fan in studio.
What's going on?
Mr. Robert.
Yes, sir, dude.
He's in here to rub it in my face, folks.
Maybe a little. Maybe a little bit.
He got horrified. That's DJ Matlock. Let's bring him in.
There he is.
What up? What's up? How was your weekend, dude?
It was good. Good.
What'd you do this weekend? Play video games?
Yep.
Did you watch football?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing you didn't watch Marshall this weekend because they...
No, I didn't want to watch. I checked
you might
the
have
score
never
of that.
watched football ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but exciting game this weekend. Louisville's coming to town, and I'm going to make somebody's Monday better today. As soon as I announce something I'm about to announce. Going to make Nick's Monday a little rough because those phone lines should light up like a Christmas tree.
Let's do it.
But we'll do that here shortly. You can call the show 304-344-9704. Follow us on Twitter at WBES Brennan Lowe. You can take us on the go at 95thesportsfox.com on your TuneIn app. Simulcast RSNSports.com as well. Joined the Pat White podcast last night, so got to talk some Mountaineer and BYU with Pat and Maddie. We'll briefly preview that game. We'll have more coverage as the week goes through. The Mountaineers coming off a bye week, so this will be a big week for them, facing off against a perennial power in college football, BYU, as far as the brand goes.
It's going to be a good game. I still kind of want to give the edge to the Mountaineers, but I think it's going to be a good game.
We'll get into the logistics of that. Of course, we'll have Mitch Mingle on tomorrow. We'll probably go further into that game. We'll recap the Marshals thumping that they received by the Akron Zips. I'm sure that'll make Nick happy. Make your Monday even better.
Yeah.
We'll also have today, we're going to have Tom Bragg at 5:15 recapping Friday's action in high school football around the Mountain State. We'll recap all those games, looking forward to the next week as well. At 5:30, we have the president of RSN Sports, Dana Farrell, coming on and revealing those section rankings, and he'll tell you where that RSN Tailgate show is going to be this Friday, live. Down there, they pick different locations across the state in high school football and do a live show down there. That's great. RSN Tailgate shows, so we'll talk to them about all that stuff, too, at 5:30. All right, before we get into our breaking news, this is what I was going to say. Since it is Monday, and it's tough going back to work during the weekend, any type of weekend, especially when you have a good college football weekend like we've had. Number 3, Louisville, who newly is number 3. The AP poll came out.
As after slaughtering Florida State. Oh, my gosh.
Most points allowed by Florida State in the history of the program. Lamar Jackson is the real deal. I'll get into that in the breaking news, too. Now the favorite in the Heisman Trophy race.
I can see that.
Lamar Jackson and his Cardinals, third-ranked Cardinals, coming to Huntington this Saturday, and I have a pair of tickets for you. If you're listening to this and you want to win those tickets to that football game. Now, it's not going to be very many chances to get to see a third-ranked program come to Huntington and Lamar Jackson coming to Huntington. So I got a pair of tickets for you. All you got to do right now is call 304-344-9704. You want to win those tickets, be the first to call. And we already got a caller. That's how quick that went.
See, there you go. Happy Monday.
Nick's already taken the call. Before we get to this breaking news stuff, obviously I want to, because we'll break down these NFL games and some college games, obviously want to get into this OSU-Oklahoma game. First time Oklahoma's been a underdog at home. I think it's 16 years, since 2000.
It's also one of very few games they've lost at home in 17 years.
It's rough for the Big 12 because this is bigger than just Oklahoma. This is a big blow to the Big 12 because Texas lost to Cal this weekend. Cal gained their first victory over a ranked team in 4 years, roughly 4 years. So Texas and Oklahoma, you still have Baylor sitting undefeated, but I'm not sure where Baylor is as far as could they go undefeated. I think the Big 12 at this point has to be undefeated to get a playoff spot. Absolutely.
Well, and you have less and less teams that have done that. Now, WVU's 2-0.
Yeah.
Coming off the bye.
They're not getting through undefeated.
You don't think so?
Reality check, no.
Oh, well.
No.
I was hopeful. I'm
a fan, but I'm not unrealistic.
Right. I'm a fan of Ohio State, and I'm mostly not unrealistic. Occasionally, totally go off the rails. You know, Baylor could, but
they have the talent.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget about that. Baylor has a lot of talent still. Seth Russell, Cannon, they have Shockwood. A lot of talent there for Baylor still left.
I think Baylor ends up surprising everyone at the end of the season a lot of the time, but they do it so much that it shouldn't be surprising anymore.
Yeah.
But
All right, let's get into this real quick. Then we'll get back to breaking news and college football stuff. Our winner of those Marshall tickets, Jeremy Best from Charleston on the line. Mr. Best, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Brando? How are you?
I'm good, man. Congratulations. Winning the tickets.
Thank you, brother. I needed that.
I figured it was Monday. A lot of people going back to work, so why not make their week?
Exactly right. It's going to make my weekend my weekend. I want to see Louisville smash Marshall, which I'm going to hate, but it's going to happen.
He's a realist.
All right, man. We appreciate it. Do you listen to the show often?
Yes, every day.
Oh, man. Appreciate it, man. Keep listening to the show and enjoy that Marshall game.
All right. Thank you, brother.
All right. Jeremy Best from Charleston winning those tickets.
Nice.
He's excited.
Should be.
You get to see a good team coming to Huntington. You still want to go watch that game, right? How many chances are going to get? I feel like the most explosive player that Marshall has seen in Huntington was 2007 when Pat White brought that potential team to go play on the national championship. We won't get into that. But, I think that was the most exciting quarterback they've seen in a while. Now you got Lamar Jackson, who's just outstanding, probably the best player in college football, best quarterback.
He's insane.
So that'll be exciting to go watch that in person. Even if Louisville's up 100-0 at halftime, it's still gonna be there to watch the game. You're gonna witness history and stripe the stadium. So it's good stuff. We have time to go into our breaking news, Nick. Let's go ahead and go into that.
It's time for breaking news in sports, but it's still sports and news.
From the Brandon Lowe Show newsroom, I'm Brandon Lowe, and here is the news and sports. That's still sports and news.
All right, news and sports. Sports is still news. Looking at the NFL scores, I started strong on Sunday with my picks. Throwing the picks here at the radio station. I was like I was undefeated. I had 6 straight picks. 1 o'clock games, I was doing good. 4 o'clock games kicked in, and the Sunday night game kicked in, and didn't do so good on the back end.
I struggled bad the whole weekend.
I was 10 of 15 so far. I still got the Monday night game tonight, Eagles and Bears. I actually picked the Bears to win this because they're at home. Both teams are atrocious.
I picked Chicago here. I'm trying to pull my picks up on my phone.
Yeah, I got Chicago in that game. But let me just say a few things what I saw on Sunday. The Patriots, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is with the Patriots, I think. They're going to win some games. Garoppolo went down with a shoulder injury. I think the Pats will be fine without Tom Brady. Also, Cowboys-Redskins, Dak Prescott, again, for the second week in a row, has impressed me as a rookie. I told you to watch out for that kid.
He's good. He's good. He's got Zeke Elliott over there.
Zeke's still struggling, but
yeah, I know, but he'll come into his own.
He'll be okay with that offensive line. Like the announcer said during the game, I think it was Lynch, he said he just needs to be patient watching those blocks open up, watching those holes kind of get up. That's something you got to learn when you're playing from the college level to the NFL. So that'll come along. Looking through, too, Bengals and Steelers, that big matchup everybody was waiting on since the playoff, the fights and the dirty play back and forth. Steelers proving they are for real in the AFC.
They are. I picked the Bengals in that game, so I can't talk much.
Texans go on to 2-0 as well. That's a team that you're going to watch out for as well, I think, in the AFC. I think that's a good team. They got
Strong,
defense.
Man.
Brock Osweiler coming from the Broncos in offseason. I think the Texans are going to be a pretty good team. I'm not sure if they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that, but they'll compete. And the Cardinals put it to the Buccaneers. These couple games we're kind of looking at that bounced back the week before. Cardinals lost last week, a game they probably should have won. But the Buccaneers, they put it to the Buccaneers. They played angry. And the Browns and Ravens, who the Browns blew a 20-2 lead. Get ready to cue that Cleveland song over there, Nick, because the Browns get hosed. Now, this is a ridiculous taunting penalty against Terrell Pryor. I don't know if you saw that, but he went out of bounds. He went to throw the ball to the ref. The defender on the play, Ladarius Webb, went to stand up. The ball hit Ladarius Webb, not intentionally. He was trying to throw the ball to the ref.
Right.
Ref saw that, threw a flag. That pushed the Browns back. On that next play, they threw an interception. That was the end of the game.
Right.
So go ahead and cue that Cleveland music because I think they need it.
Cleveland! This is for you!
It's okay, Cleveland.
Oh!
It's okay.
Fun times in Cleveland again. Still Cleveland.
Still got the Cavs.
Come on down to Cleveland town, everyone.
Don't worry.
Under construction since 1868. See our river that catches on fire. Our economy's based on LeBron James. Our main export is crippling depression. It could be worse though, at least we're not Detroit. We're not Detroit.
Still love you, Cleveland. We still love you. Always showing you love on this show. It's all from love. Looking at the new AP poll at the top. We did start the playoffs today. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, your Buckeyes, Ohio State. Number 3, Louisville. 4, Michigan. So
none of that surprises me.
Yeah, that'd be the top 4. Of course, Michigan and Ohio State would play each other. If this was the rankings going into that final week, one of those teams would have separated themselves. If Clemson won because they're sitting at the 5, Clemson would probably get that spot. Or Houston potentially because Houston's sitting at 6.
I'll tell you, Houston, I mean, no surprise, but they're one to watch. I think they could.
2 teams left out of the Big 12 and AP Top 25, and it's not good because they're far down in the Top 25. Baylor sitting at 16, Texas at 21. San Diego State broke into the Top 25 this week at 22. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 teams. Oklahoma is at 25. They just couldn't let go of Oklahoma in the top 25.
No, they had to hold them in there at 1 and 2.
So there's a couple AP Top 25. Houston at 6, Stanford at 7, Michigan State at 8. Michigan State getting a big win over Notre Dame. That was the other one I got wrong. Texas A&M or Washington at 9, Texas A&M at 10. That's your top 10 right there. You can check out the rest of them anywhere you want. Basically, just Google it and you can get them. Lamar Jackson, like I said, skies to become the new Heisman Trophy favorite. According to Westgate Superbook, Jackson has climbed to the top of the Heisman odds after starting the season at 100-1 odds. Wow. He's now sitting at 6-5. 6-5 odds.
Goodness. You know,
and your boy is right there in second.
He's in there, but man, he's I don't know. I'd have to lean toward Lamar at this point.
Okay, because I called Oklahoma to win the Ohio State game. It was almost as bad as Corey Feldman on the Today Show, so this is tribute to Oklahoma.
Get it. All she gonna do is twerk. Hit the club. Tell him.
Yes. Oklahoma, you let me down. Could be worse, though. It could be Corey Feldman.
You could be missing. That was the worst.
So, Robert, you were correct. I played that for you.
Well, thank you. That was, by the way, that was a frightening performance. I think it made everybody wish, or made us all very glad that we were not child stars, because then we might find ourselves doing that. I'm very grateful I was not famous, well, really ever, but especially when I was a kid.
And one last thing before we got to go break. I know we got to go to break. Tebow reported to Mets Instructional League. Was signed a familiar number 15. It's already up on the Mets official website selling.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. They're going to market the tar out of that.
That's what it's all for. Structurally, I mean, I don't see this going any further than just a marketing strategy from the Mets.
The jerseys or him?
Just him. I feel like they let him on the actual roster for like a year just to see how the turnout is.
Well, the turnout would be big.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, he's decent. He's not. I mean, he's not going to go out there and break any records. He's not going to be a Billy Hamilton like for the Reds. He's not going to be a Kirby Puckett from years past. I mean, I think he's all right. I'm not sure if he'll ever end up in the big leagues for any long stretches. I bet they call him up for a game or two at least. But it'll be a while before that.
One last thing, Ohio State and Oklahoma, you're right. So give you that. Congratulations.
Thanks,
I didn't know if you expect to go more in depth, but everybody kind of knows the story.
I shotted some stuff in case. I had no idea.
But, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and give you props on that. I played Corey Feldman for you.
Yeah, so. Dude, that was phenomenal. That was worth the stop.
You were correct. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We should have Tom Bragg on the line and talk some high school football from this past week, Friday Night Lights. Get with him and see where he's at with some of these teams across the state in high school football. You can call the show, 304-344-9704. This is the Brandon Lowe Show, 95 The Sports Box.
You're listening to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox. Be a part of the show. Let the Valley hear your opinion.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Or the top sports stories locally or nationally on The Brandon Lowe Show. Call 304-344-9704.
There's a lot of reasons to shop Blizzard's Custom Cycle.
I shop Blizzard's for drag pipes.
Thousands of parts.
Thor's my brand. They've got a great selection of Thor there, jerseys, helmets.
Fuel your passion.
I go to Blizzard's, man. I'm in my happy place.
New Victory motorcycles are in stock and a large selection of used bikes and Kiriakin accessories.
They have Dunlap tires, Ripsaws.
I just love to ride, man.
Blizzard's Custom Cycle, half a mile off the Davis Creek exit, off Corridor G, Charleston.
This is JT the Brick with Tom Looney.
Bob McKillick's our guest as we wrap it up, head coach at Davidson. What's the best part of your relationship right now with Steph Curry?
That he never forgets where he came from. He has got the spotlight on him. Stephen Curry takes that spotlight and passes it around to everyone who has been part of his life.
This is JT the Brick with Tom Looney.
Nights at 8 on 95 The Sports Fox.
Follow the show on Twitter at WBES Brandon Lowe. You can also listen to The Brandon Lowe Show on your TuneIn app or at 95thesportsfox.com. Now, back to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Lowe Show, 95 The Sports Fox. I want to thank Robert for coming to the studio and let me take one for the team, so to speak, live on the show. Made it better with Corey Feldman, though. If you haven't got a chance to see that video, you need to go watch it. Makes your day brighter.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's bring in our first guest today, Gazette Mail Prep's web editor, Tom Bragg. Mr. Bragg, what's up, brother?
Oh, you know, just getting ready for another week of high school football. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, we were just listening to Corey Feldman's new track. You've heard that?
Oh, man, that's something, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to go platinum, I think. I'm pretty sure his manager's excited.
Yeah, he was into it. I don't know what exactly it was, but he was into it, though.
All right, let's look at some action for Week 4. Let's start with the Capital Midland game. When speaking to Ryan on Friday, we both expected a pretty close matchup, but the score probably didn't indicate how this game really went. I mean, it was a lot closer near the half. 42-23 victory for Capital. Kind of go through that game a little bit.
Yeah, I was at that game too. It was very interesting. If any of the listeners remember the regular season game between Capital and Capital Midland last year, the first half went very similar this year. You know, Capital kind of comes out and punches Capital Midland in the nose a little bit. Looks like they might be the clearly superior team. Then Capital Midland grinds out an 8-minute drive right before the half, scores a touchdown, turns Capital over, 50-yard touchdown the next play. And all of a sudden, Capital Midland's got a lead going into the half, and you think, oh, no, here we go again. This is just like it was last year with Capital Midland and Capital. But the Cougars, Capital came out in the second half, a rejuvenated team, to say the least. They leaned pretty heavily on senior running back Silas Nazario. Had maybe the best half of football I've seen him play in 4 years at Capital. I've seen a lot of him the last couple of years. That's saying something. And the Cougars just proved to be a little too much talent, too much depth, and they pulled away for a pretty what ended up being a pretty comfortable win against Cabell Midland.
Moving over to the Riverside-South Charleston game, South Charleston's had trouble with their offense. Riverside has done well this season as far as winning games and taking care of business, facing against the South Charleston Black Eagles team, which we talked about defense with 10 guys returning. And then, like I said, the offense is trying to find the end zone. In this game, they did, scoring 48 points. So is this South Charleston finding their offense, or is this too much Riverside in this game?
I think a little bit of both. I think it was a game where South Charleston very clearly had an advantage as far as athleticism and maybe skill out on the edges and in the backfield, and they were able to try some things, and it worked this time. They weren't. They had some time to do it, and in a lot of their games, they've played a tough schedule so far, and they've had people in the backfield before the quarterback can even decide which way he's going to turn and hand the ball off. So they had a little bit more time this week. They're able to get a little bit more done on offense. And like I said, I think that was a big result of them just being clearly more talented at those skill positions than Riverside. That said, it was about what I expected. I didn't expect Riverside to just roll over for South Charleston, but I figured South Charleston would probably win that one pretty comfortably. And if you're the Black Eagles, you gotta take them where you can get them, because there might be a 4-6 team coming out of AAA that ends up as that 15 or 16 seed in the playoffs. So get these wins where you
power
can.
To me too. All right, we're back. Let's bring Tom back on. Sorry about that, Tom.
It's all right. They just really didn't want to hear about South Charleston and Riverside. Yeah.
Let's move over to Hurricane and Brook. Obviously, we've talked about Brook before, where they're struggling this season compared to last season. Hurricane, though, has some pretty tough games ahead of them. So I think these next couple games, we'll see where Hurricane actually is.
Yeah, I think so, too. This was another case. Hurricane is 4-0 now. They're 3-0 coming into this game. But get these wins where you can, because that is a tough schedule the back half for the Redskins. They've got, I think, Capital coming up. They've got Huntington coming up. They've got Spring Valley coming up. So, I mean, there's three potential losses right there, and you're right back at 4-3. So you got to get these wins where you can. And Hurricane's looking a lot better than I think just about anybody would have thought they would this year. But they've got to keep it rolling. It was a nice win, a very convincing win against Brook. I believe it was like 50-something to nothing. Brook is without some of its better players due to injury, but they still got to play the games. Hurricane looked good. They're kind of rolling right now. They've got a week off this week before they get back into it. And I believe it's Spring Valley 2 Fridays from now. So big one's coming up for Hurricane, but so far so good for the Reds.
Yeah, speaking of Spring Valley, I was going to move over to that. Spring Valley and GW. Spring Valley blows out GW 54-21. GW giving up 600-something yards rushing. Tough out for GW, sitting at 1-3. I thought it was interesting, though. You guys broke this down as far as the playoffs. 1 of 7 AAA schools across the state now standing at 1 and 3. Still very much alive for postseason consideration because you're looking at those SSAC ratings released last week. The next set will come out tomorrow at 2. But you got 29 teams competing in Class AAA. Just 13 of them have winning records. So it's possible maybe a 5-5 or a 4-6 team could still make the playoffs.
Well, I think it's almost guaranteed that you're going to get a 5-5 team in, and maybe not quite guaranteed, but it's looking like a real good chance that you're going to have at least one 4-6 in. Just the way the numbers are breaking down with so few teams in AAA. I mean, there's going to be more teams in the playoffs than are out of the playoffs. So GW's definitely still got a shot. On Spring Valley side, though, I got to say there was a couple people pretty close to the GW football program that were texting me Friday night from that game, and they had went down and saw GW play a close game against Huntington the week before, and the general sentiment from these people were just like, man, I know that Huntington beat Spring Valley a couple weeks ago, but they weren't convinced that Spring Valley wasn't the best team in state, or at least in the MSAC.
Yeah, for sure. Also, in staying in Class AAA, and then we're gonna get to that Logan Point Pleasant game real quick in AA. A lot of teams off or idle this week with all those nice records in at 14-2 combined. But then you have 2 really good games this week: Huntington at Capital, and then you have South Charleston and Spring Valley. So there's still some 2 really great games this week as well in Class AAA.
Yeah, another big week of home games in the Valley. You look at all the games we had around here last week with Hurricane being at home, and that wonderful Herbert Hoover and Winfield game, and of course Capital at home, Spring Valley at home, or Spring Valley up at GW, and South Charleston hosting Riverside. Another big slate of games for the Valley this week, headlined by those 2. I think that, and you could argue that they're not even the first or second biggest game in AAA this week, because you got Martinsburg and Morgantown up at Pony Lewis Field in Morgantown. So big week at the top of AAA, highlighted by those 2 here in the Valley and the one up in Morgantown.
All right, before I let you go, I want to talk about what was our game of the week here at the station. Logan and Point Pleasant thought it'd be a closer game. Talked up that kid at Logan, David Early, a couple times with you and on the show. Point Pleasant, though, is just explosive team.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see that one coming. I knew that Point Pleasant had some kids that can play. They weren't just a one-man team with Cody Mitchell last year, but a lot of times it seemed like they were still kind of trying to find themselves so far this year. Played a couple close games against opponents that maybe they should have, in hindsight, you say maybe they should have beaten them by a little more, teams like Lincoln County, Ripley. But, that was a good Logan team that went down to play the Big Blacks on Friday, and it was close for a while, but Point pulled away there at the end and definitely showed that they are the better, more experienced teams. The better and more experienced team between those 2. Now, that said, this is a pretty young Logan team, so they can still be real good this year. Losing this game doesn't rule anything out or put them out of the running for anything in Class AA, but it shows them. Logan's got some work to do, and like I said, they're young, so there's some time to do it for them, too.
He's Tom Bragg. We appreciate your time as always, Tom, and we'll talk to you next Monday, brother.
All right, I'll talk to you then, man.
All right, Tom Bragg, Zet Mel Prep's web editor, and good talking high school football with him every Monday here on the show. We should have Dana Farrell, president of RSN Sports, here shortly when we get back after the break. He's going to break down those RSN section rankings, as well as he's going to tell us where the RSN Tailgate Show will be this Friday, live. So let's go ahead and take a break. Excited to have him on. Revealing those section rankings, man. Those fans, just look forward to those on that website. Take us on the go at 95tosportsfox.com. On your TuneIn app, you can watch us on our YouTube channel at rsnsports.com, as well on our front page at 95tosportsfox.com. Back after this.
Blair can get
Jason Smith.
Nights at 10 on 95 The Sports Fox.
The Ben Maller Show.
I know I can't do it like Ben do it.
Ben Maller.
It wasn't even the greatest punch in Ranger history. That's the unfortunate reality. Nolan Ryan got Robin Ventura in a headlock and delivered a series of noogies.
We just get bombarded, really kind of picks up about midweek and just culminates on Friday night, and then kind of carries over even into Saturday and Sunday across college and pro football. Even people still sending things in, and we try to cut it off at about 4 p.m. on Sundays. Up and the afternoon. Now, 95, the Sports Fox, is the place that we want to be able to be first to be able to announce these at.
And we're certainly excited about that as well. When we're done with these section rankings, you will also announce where the RSN Tailgate Show will be this week as well, right?
That's correct. Trying to see that we're going to get to variables in that, and in fact, sometimes the fans will tweet to us and messages and say, hey, you guys are dissing us or those things, but it's not that. We love to spend time with all of them. They all do a great job, but it's just a matter of our schedule. Even this
Let's go AAA.
Okay, we'll start at the top with the big boys.
Yep.
Okay, we'll start with the top 10. We'll start with number 10, Parkersburg. Big Reds had a homecoming game up there. A great set of activities up there. Got some information to us in the EPAN. Got us quite a bit of stuff, and they even came out for some of the Olympic sports and got it to us. This is Hurricane, Crazy Kane. In action this season. An awesome job. Okay, then we get our top 5. Number 5 comes in Riverside. Riverside was last week's number 1 through the sections. They had to go on the road over at South Charleston this week. They still took a pretty good contingent with them. Had a lot of information to us. They even their theme this week had a USA theme over at their home. They come in at number 4. Number 3, I heard you talking about a Martinsburg.
Yep.
Dog pound over there. They put lots of things on what they did, and they did so much throughout the week, getting ready, prepping for the games. Went out and decorated players' houses along the streets, and they kind of some pictures and video and that kind of stuff. And so we say, hey, it's not just about game night; it's about all week. Spirit in the school. Team up there, and it was a awareness type of thing for a cause for a student they had up there that is in need of some medical help, basically medical situation, and they also have Anna's Army. 2 different causes up there to help. Yeah, so the South Side.
All right.
Go to Double A. And in the top 10, we'll start with number 10, Winfield. Number 9 was Nicholas County. I think went over Rome. Nitro. A good one this year, staying in the top 10. Number 6, North Marion. Then we get in our top 5. Number 5, Fairmont Senior.
All right.
Luke Park Loonies, they go up there. They come out, and they're having a great year on the field. And so this week over see them firsthand. We were with the show over at Sissonville this week. So, and then number 7, Sissonville had the homecoming game, and so they were there, and we got there again, got to experience the game with them. They do a great job. And number 2 is last week's.
Yeah.
With this competition, it's the dreaded off week because you just really, it's hard to get the spirit going, anything going on an off week. But those guys managed to do it and come in top 5. And then number 1, I mean, these guys are no stranger to being number 1 in anything. As most people know, we Pat White's coming on board for the state, and we want some opportunities for him to be on the show, and that's one of them. We think, obviously, we'll be able to have him participate. So, and so does Fayetteville's just putting up, just crazy points this year. So, that's a game when those 2 tangle. I think the some home games ahead. They can do it. Number 5 is Magnolia. probably give you this far, and just look forward to it.
Well, we look forward to it, and we'll keep this going every single week. We'll do the sectional rankings as well as tell the listeners where the Arson Tailgate Show will be each week on those Fridays at Capital. First right here, arsonsports.com, breaking down those sectional rankings as well as where the Arson Tailgate Show will be. Again, they will be down at that Huntington at Capitol game this Friday night, which to me I think is a great Akron. Go through some of those things. Like I said, we'll get into this Louisville stuff with Doug Smock on Wednesday. I'm sure he'll probably give us his thoughts on Akron too, but I'm going to run through it briefly, as well as looking to the televised time and also now 95 The Sports Fox.
You're listening to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox. Be a part of the show. Let the Valley hear your opinion.
You know, that's just like your opinion.
It's locally.
Joining us is the award for the most valuable player, or is it for the best player?
If V is valuable, I just don't see any way that there's a player that means more to our league or to his team than LeBron does or than Michael did. I certainly think the seasons that Steph has put together are historically good, but in terms of value to a league, I think LeBron is the face of this league.
The Jim noon to 3 on 95 The Sports Fox.
Show to this is J Moore Sports.
Yeah! This is maybe the coolest team ever. Now I'm rooting for the Texas Rangers. You got to name an Odor that punches you in the face. You think that guy's going to pick up a tab at all for the rest of the year, anywhere that team goes? And by the way, I got news for you. Between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers, solidarity.
Our sport.
It's at 3. The Sports Fox.
Follow the show on Twitter at WBES Brandon Lowe. You can also listen to The Brandon Lowe Show on your TuneIn app or at 95thesportsfox.com. Now, back to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
Coming on in there. Rankings. 10-15 minutes, as well as the Arson Tailgate Show. Frank Gardenia and Carl Lee will be at the Huntington at Capitol game this Friday. You heard it first right here on the Brandon Lowe Show. You can take us on the go at 95thesportsfox.com, at your TuneIn app, and simulcast at arsonsports.com. You can watch the show as well on our YouTube channel, on our website at WBE for all your updates. We go back and forth, RSN and the show here, so any updates as far as high school football or anything related to sports around the state, RSN and our show do a good job of going back and forth on Twitter. So stay up to date with all that stuff with us and RSN Sports. All right, kind of look at some of the. We'll have more Mountaineer stuff with Mitch Finkel tomorrow, and Doug Smock. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Heard stuff with Doug Smock, or we'll have Doug Smock stuff. Who knows? Which one would be better, Nick? How should we name that? Doug Smock stuff with Herd.
Yeah, we'll just go with that.
We'll just call the segment that. With how the Herd played in this game against Akron, this was a game that has said that, Marshall with MAC opponents, it seems like they just have trouble with these former foes in their old conference. It seems like last year with Ohio University, which that's a team that gives Marshall a lot of fits anyway. 5 points. I really didn't. If I predict a score, thought maybe Akron may have gotten a victory in this matchup, which I thought Marshall was going to win this game. I would have probably bet on maybe a 3-point victory for Akron, but instead they win the game 65-38. The Herd, though, had a strong start in this game, and especially in the first quarter. They led 21-6. Marshall was going to turn it on offense, defense, and they made some plays on special teams, blocking a punt. The fumble recovery for a touchdown for Akron on Chase Litton. Chase Litton threw 3 interceptions. A lot of times as a return for great field position for their offense. That fumble in the second quarter is what set up a to 21. 34 second quarter period. So that was really the turning point in that game. And what you really look at, too, and the question that came into this season, something we talked about with Doug Smock, is outside the kicking game for Marshall, the questions lied in those cornerbacks. To who was going to took an advantage of a freshman cornerback in Chris Jackson. I mean, he got picked on early and often. You look at Jerome Lane, who Jackson was covering. Eventually, Allen went over and helped with Jerome Lane. But 7 receptions for 115 yards. I mean, that's just tough. Like they're going to keep going. The team is going to keep, and that's what Akron and Akron as well. They knew Marshall knew that Akron had a very, very good running back, so Marshall was really keying in on the run game. They did kind of an option style, run pass option style offense, and the herd bit on a lot. They thought was going to be long on that play. And when you have a disadvantage at cornerback already, and you have what I think is the strength of the defense, your front and your linebackers keyed in on the run game, and those safeties biting in on the run game as well. They're not helping over the top those passes on the run top. Also, not to mention, they won all 3 sides of the ball: offense, defense, and special teams. That was also a question for Doc Holliday and his staff going into the season, as I just mentioned, the kicking game. And it was fine in the first game. Oregon State didn't punt much. It was MAC officials this year. It was Conference USA last year. 17 penalties for 180 yards for the herd. Akron, 13 penalties, 136 yards. Both teams had penalties, so you can't really blame penalties as a part of the herd's blowout loss. But those hurts not. But I didn't expect 65 points. I really didn't. I expect 65-38. I'm very scared what's going to happen this Saturday when Louis. And who's to say, too, and I said this as I was kind of fold. Wife, Marshall wasn't looking. Expect Marshall. I think Akron's this good. They lost a lot of guys last year on that 8-5 squad where they won the bowl game. They lost a lot of guys on the Akron team. They're a very well-coached team, but who's to say Marshall wasn't looking ahead to that big game? Because what was the one game that was hype for Marshall as soon as this? So what do you think the players were doing? It's not going to happen, but if they knock off Louisville, this is, what would you call this? The best win in Marshall history, probably? They had to be up there, right? Outside of national championships they won earlier.
We'd be making another movie.
It'd have to be.
Yeah.
Just ask Iowa. They got beat by North Dakota State this weekend. I call that game, by the way. All right, let's go to break. It's all right, Herd. Stick in there. Do work this week. We'll check in with Doug Smock on the rundown for that. Can't wait. All right. Break on today's show. You can call the show, though, 304-344-9704. Watch us on our YouTube channel, Facebook Live. Follow us on Twitter at WBES Brandon Lowe. It's the Brandon Lowe Show, 95 The Sports Fox.
You're listening to the Brandon
Opinion, man.
Locally or nationally, on the Brandon Lowe Show. Call 304-344-9704.
This is Steve Gorman Sports.
Russell Wilson gave the commencement speech at the University of Wisconsin this weekend.
Okay.
So here's a little sample of what Russell Wilson had to say.
And if you're playing New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, and you've got down by
This is Jay,
head coach of David. Part of your relationship, Curry.
That he never forgets where he came from. He has got the spotlight on him. Stephen Curry takes that spotlight and passes it around to everyone who has been part of his life.
This is JT the Brick with Tom Looney.
Night 5.
So listen to the Brandon Lowe Show on your TuneIn app or at 95thesportsfox.com. Now, back to the Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
All right, last segment. I got about 3 minutes, so I'm just going to run through this really quick, and we'll have more Mountaineer stuff with Mitch Bingle tomorrow. Mountaineers coming off in bye week. Off today. BYU 2. I know a lot of you guys were kind of hanging on that, whether it's going to be ESPNU or ESPN2s. At FedEx Field, Landover, Maryland. Excited for that matchup against BYU. Also, the conference has announced the K-State game, the Kansas State game, October 1st. That's our Big 12 conference opening football game. Televised on. They grabbed that. Those matchups. And recalls his BYU influence on the WVU offense. Kalani Sataki, BYU's coach, also looks up to Dana Holgorsen. He said that today in a press conference. Holgorsen also getting a lot of credit and due to when Mike Leach was coaching at BYU. So this is a matchup where the coaches are offense. BYU 20 points or less. 84. So it brings, and like I said, we'll bring more of this coverage of this game. Starting with tomorrow with Mitch Bingle. He'll come on the show. We'll break down this matchup. But I'm certainly excited about this. Again, kickoff 3:30. It's going to be on ESPN2 for this game. Excited for this BYU matchup. So, have him on the show. Mountaineers and BYU. But both coaches have a lot of respect for each other. Both programs have a lot of history. BYU is one of those brands in college football. So, pretty excited for that matchup. Jimmy Hatcher, my boss is a huge FSU fan. He predicted them to blow out Louisville. I predicted what actually happened. I almost brought him a Louisville hat, but I like being employed. Hatcher. That's all right, man. You should have brought him a hat. Get fired for that, right? Just having good fun. All right, let's do our weird news.
Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
News. All right, holy mackerel. New York is outlawing the sale of snake mackerel or other misidentified fish in effect. It's cheaper than the study. Up to 40% of the fish sample checked in New York City. That's right. The real thing can cause, or I'm sorry, cheaper than the real thing can cause diarrhea.
Computer blue.
All right, we'll get out of here. I think we'll have Mitch Bingle on tomorrow. We'll talk some Mountaineer stuff. Doug Smock on Wednesday with Hurt stuff. All across the all week long. We'll talk to you. Brandon Lowe Show, 95 to Sports Fox. Good night.
Good. In your face, Charlie Murphy. Good. Shoot the J. Shoot it!